The crew of the exploration vessel drifted through the quiet lanes of the outer rim, but his thoughts were louder than any reactor hum. He had traveled far beyond the borders of his home world. He had faced dangers he had never imagined, yet nothing had ever shaken him more than the thought of speaking the truth to her. She had joined the ship as a diplomatic observer. Her people were ancient and strange, shaped by a golden world of forests that glowed like captured dawn. She moved with a calm grace that made everything around her feel gentler. Her voice carried a stillness that pulled him out of worry. Her eyes held a depth that reminded him of horizons he had never seen. He had admired her from the first week, but admiration slowly turned into a feeling he could no longer control. He had hidden his feelings for years. Humans were known to be bold and expressive, but he found himself unable to speak when she was near. She always looked at him as if she understood things he was too afraid to say. At first he believed she simply enjoyed observing him, the human who asked too many questions and often solved problems with stubbornness rather than elegance. She would watch him repair systems, argue with officers, or carry supplies with a determination that made her softly amused. Sometimes she would ask about his world, and he would answer in long stories about oceans, storms, and mountains. Sometimes she just listened. The mission had taken them through war zones and untouched systems. He had protected her during raids. She had healed him after injuries. He had stood beside her during tense negotiations. She had stood between him and danger when invaders boarded the ship. They grew close in a way no one could easily name. Yet neither spoke of love. Her people had old customs, ancient rules, and long, quiet rituals. He did not want to disrespect them. He did not want to frighten her. Humans loved differently and quickly. Her kind loved slowly and with deep vows. He told himself silence was safer, but silence grew heavy. The day came when the ship returned from a long diplomatic journey, battered but victorious. Many alliances had been saved. Many rivals now recognized the strength of the United Worlds. Celebrations echoed throughout the station. Lanterns glowed in 100 colors. Music from 100 cultures blended into a single weaving song. Officers congratulated each other. Merchants shared food and laughter. Everyone rejoiced. But he felt that something was unfinished. She stood at the balcony, overlooking the station's central dome. Lights shimmered above like fallen stars. She wore a thin shimmering garment from her homeworld, decorated with soft silver marks that indicated honor. Her hair reflected the blue glow of the dome. Her eyes took in the scene below with quiet pride. He approached her slowly. She turned to him. Her expression softened in a way that always made his heartbeat stumble. She had saved his life during the last mission. She had grabbed him with surprising strength and pulled him away from a blast that would have ended him. When he recovered in the medical wing, she had stayed by his side, refusing to leave until he could stand. Now she looked at him as if she sensed something new in him. He took a breath. He told himself he would not run from this moment. He had survived warships, alien beasts, and battles of fire. He would not retreat from his own heart. He spoke her name softly. She tilted her head. He felt the weight of years settle into his chest. He told her he loved her. He told her he had loved her for a long time. He told her that every moment near her had become a memory he wanted to keep. He told her that his fear had never been her rejection, only the chance of disrespecting her culture. He told her that humans sometimes loved fast, but this love had grown with patience. He told her he was ready to accept whatever her answer was. She stared at him for a long moment. Then she made a sound he had never expected. She laughed. Not a mocking laugh, not a cruel one. It was soft, warm, filled with something like joy. A laugh that melted the knot of fear that had been in him for years. She covered her mouth with her hand, trying to contain herself. Her shoulders shook. Her eyes shined. He stood there stunned. He was unsure if he had made a mistake. Maybe he had misunderstood something in her expression. Maybe her people found declarations of love amusing. Maybe he had broken some ancient rule. He felt his confidence crumble. She stepped close. Her voice was gentle. She told him she had waited for this moment longer than he realized. She told him that in her culture, the one who speaks first carries a great responsibility. She told him that if she had spoken first, it would have meant she was ready to bind her life path to his, and she feared he was not yet ready for such a permanent choice. She said she had hoped he would speak first, because when the human heart chooses, it chooses with clarity and strength. She said she wanted his choice to be free. He felt confusion slip away, replaced by a warmth that reached deep into his bones. But he still did not understand why she laughed. She smiled and explained that she had believed he would confess years ago. She said she had seen the signs in him, the way he looked at her during missions, the way he positioned himself between her and danger, the way he listened to her stories with a focus that made her feel treasured. She said she had waited patiently, trusting that the moment would come. She laughed because she had endured so long, watching him struggle with simple words when she already knew. She laughed because she felt relieved that the wait was finally over. He stood silently, letting her words wash over him like a warm tide. She had known. She had understood. She had waited without pressure, without complaint, without disappointment. She had trusted him. That trust felt heavier and more precious than any metal. She took his hands gently. Her touch was lightly warm, like the glow of her homeworld's trees. She pressed his hands between hers. She told him that love in her culture was not spoken casually. Once spoken, it became a promise, a bond that shaped the future. She said she was ready to speak it now. She said she would not wait any longer. She leaned forward. Her forehead touched his in a gesture of her people, a gesture of truth, a gesture of acceptance. Her voice was quiet but steady. She spoke the words he had dreamed of hearing. She told him she loved him. She told him she had loved him through battles, journeys, and silence. She told him she loved his fierce spirit, his stubborn courage, and his gentle heart. She told him her love had grown from admiration into devotion. The world seemed to pause around them. The music in the dome faded from his awareness. The lights blurred slightly. The air felt lighter. He tried to speak, but the emotion caught in his chest. She smiled, understanding him without words. Her smile was soft and radiant. She squeezed his hands gently. She said she wanted to begin the binding ceremony soon. She explained that her people believed in slow beginnings and strong endings. She said the ceremony would unite their futures. She said she wanted him to learn each step with her. She said she wanted him to understand the meaning behind each symbol and gesture. She asked if he was ready for a path that would join two worlds. He nodded without hesitation. He told her he was ready for anything with her. He told her he had never been more certain of a choice. She let out a slow breath, and her eyes softened even more. She rested her forehead against his again. For a moment they stayed like that, wrapped in a quiet truth. The ceremony preparations began soon after. For days he learned about her culture's traditions. He studied the ancient songs that would be sung. He practiced the gestures that represented trust, unity, and promise. He learned the meaning of the silver markings she wore. Each represented an achievement or vow. She taught him patiently. He listened carefully. Sometimes they laughed together when he made mistakes. Other times they sat in peaceful silence, enjoying the closeness between them. The night before the ceremony, she took him to a private observatory on the station. The room was filled with faint blue light. The large window looked out onto a starfield that stretched farther than the eye could see. She stood beside him, her hands lightly touching the railing dot. She told him a story of her world. She said her people believed that long ago 2 wandering lights crossed the sky and never separated. She said this legend shaped the meaning of their vows. She said 2 hearts walk together best when they grow at their own pace, but choose the same direction. She said love was not a race but a journey. He told her that humans also had stories of love written in the sky. He told her about constellations shaped like heroes and guardians. He told her humans saw the universe as a place filled with possibilities rather than limits. She listened with quiet fascination. She said that was one of the reasons she admired humans. She said humans carried hope even in dark places. She turned to him. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. She gently touched his face. She said she was glad he spoke first. She said it allowed her to answer without fear that she pressured him. She said she was proud of him for facing a feeling that frightened him more than danger. She said his honesty showed the strength she always admired. The ceremony took place in a hall decorated with both human and alien designs. Her people created shimmering lines of silver across the walls that seemed to shift like soft waves. Humans placed subtle lanterns that cast warm light. Music blended both cultures in a gentle mix that felt natural rather than forced. He walked forward wearing a simple, ceremonial jacket with markings symbolizing sincerity.